We'll start our first round of questions with Ms. Dancho. 6 minutes, please.
Thank you to the witnesses for being here and for your expert testimony. Mr. Wark, I'll start with you. I appreciated your insight on RAW, and in particular when you mentioned, our leverage with the Five Eyes intelligence. I was wondering, could you enlighten the committee? When we heard from Nathalie Drouin and the Deputy Minister the other day, we understood then that there were a number of attempts of Canada to meet with India to discuss this. We were brushed off, we were stood up, we had visas denied, all types of excuses for not being met with. Can you tell the committee from your experience or your thoughts on why does India feel so comfortable brushing us off like that? It just seems quite insulting.
It's a good question, Ms. Dancho, and I thank you for it. I think there are two things at play here. One is that India believes that it can be more muscular in its approach to Canada, and as you say, brush us off and frankly treat senior Canadian officials with extraordinary degrees of contempt. They believe simply that they have the power to do that. And I would say as well that India is, I've described this before, as being stuck in what I call a plausible deniability box. And they're finding it difficult to get out of that box in terms of taking responsibility or being accountable for some of the covert operations that they've been linked to. They are in an embarrassing position, I would say, with regard to the United States in terms of having been forced by the U.S. to agree to an investigation into covert operations conducted against American citizens. They would like to be able to treat Canada differently, so bend to the United States, not bend to Canada, as a way of, frankly, saving face while the Indian government figures out a real escape route from its past practices.
So, Mr. Wark, they feel very confident not treating they wouldn't feel as confident treating the United States that way. Would they feel as confident treating the UK that way, for example, or another of our Five Eyes? It seems that it's Canada, but perhaps it's not just Canada.
Well, what we've seen, Ms. Dancho, is that these kinds of covert operations, which I suggest were first conducted at scale in Pakistan by RAW, have been exported to the West, including to the UK, including to Germany, the United States, obviously. We know one case in particular there, and to Canada. India will approach each of these countries and the ties with them, selectively on a case-by-case basis. There are particular frictions, of course, given past history between India and Britain. But a recognition, I think, on the part of India that both Britain and Germany are, in many respects, significant powers in ways that Canada is not in their eyes. So they have seen, certainly in the past, Canada as a power that they can push around on the global stage, and a power that it makes sense for them in terms of domestic politics and their official line that successive Canadian governments never take seriously their concerns about violent extremism abroad targeting their country. They've made Canada, frankly, a bit of a target. And it will be, in my view, very interesting to see how they respond next to a forceful pushback, as I would call it, by the Canadian authorities.
Thank you. As I mentioned, you'd also, in your opening remarks, talked about the Five Eyes alliance that we have to share intelligence. My understanding with the way that works is we get out of the Five Eyes what we put in. So if we're contributing intelligence, we'll get a relatively same degree back. And my understanding as well is that Five Eyes certainly can provide us a lot of intelligence to kind of tip us off of what may be going on here. So it's critical that we have a strong presence there and are contributing. Do you feel that Canada is contributing to the level that they should be? Are we getting the most that we can out of this, or should we be doing more?
I think a lot of our Five Eyes partners would like to see Canada do more, frankly, and this has been expressed from time to time, particularly in terms of certain kinds of capacities to collect intelligence globally. There have been, from time to time, criticisms directed at Canada that we do not have, for example, a foreign intelligence service, unlike all of our other Five Eyes partners. And that's an area where Canada continues to face pressure. I think where Canada is highly regarded as a partner within the Five Eyes is in regard to its signals intelligence capabilities in terms of foreign intelligence collection, cybersecurity. Also regarded as a useful partner in terms of the kinds of strategic intelligence assessments that we can share with our Five Eyes partners, and that Canadian view is often regarded as a useful sort of touch point for other countries to consider how they're looking at global threats. In terms of your opening remark about the Five Eyes being a kind of equal trading relationship, the reality is it's never been that. The United States is by far and away the largest and greatest intelligence power in the Five Eyes. Other countries try and make their contribution, but we get a lot more out of the Five Eyes than we can put in, and no one has ever suggested that we should have a kind of equal trading relation in terms of intelligence there.
Thank you. And certainly we've had a number of extraordinary witnesses from government, and it seems like they're working very hard to do more than we even know to keep this country safe. And of course, we're very proud of our intelligence agents and operators. But I do feel that I do take issue when we get criticisms from security officials around the world calling Canada a free rider, whether it's on defense or intelligence gathering. And so just with my few seconds, just more advice from you of what Canada can be doing to elevate our position to support us from being, in essence, bullied by foreign countries.
Again, I think a tougher diplomatic response to various forms of Indian aggression and a more robust capability, especially I would come back to the question of how well positioned are we really to conduct significant penetrating counterintelligence operations against Indian officials in Canada. We have the laws to allow us to do that. But CSIS as an organization these days is overstretched. The RCMP is certainly. And India would never have been regarded as a principal counterintelligence mission for the Canadian community until recently. So there's going to have to be a surge of capabilities and talent into that area. It may take time to achieve it. But I suspect the recognition is there, but there's probably going to be a gap between understanding that there's a new kind of counterintelligence mission that has to be performed and the ability to perform it fully.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dancho.